communication skills. So this, I believe that this is not only true for Malaysia, I believe that this is true for many countries, including Bangladesh, because these communication skills are very important. And interpersonal skills, leadership skills, problem solving skills, teamwork skills, these are very important. And that's why the government is telling the universities across the nation, across the country that your program, these are very generic skills. These are not actually specific to any specific program. So these are very generic, so these should be included in your programs. And your course objective should be matched with this objective. So that at the end of the program, when we have to finish the program, they should be able to have the both kinds of skills. And hopefully, their employability rate will be increased. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prof. for this excellent explanation. Right, so you can help me out a lot. Right, so that's why you can see all of this. Right, the soft skills, as Prof. Rafiqul explained, we have the knowledge, the core component, but we also have the soft skills, which are the other skills. And in fact, as Prof. Rafiqul mentioned, it has become so important that they have actually added it as a component, specifically, you will see later, here. Right? You actually have to explain the transferable skills in the course outline. Right? So we will go through this step by step in a while. Right? So just now the request of our brother to go through this one by one. Okay. So again, I do not claim that this is perfect, but this is the one developed by the Department of Accounting, and you can always improve on it. So for example, we've gone through knowledge, now practical skills. Prepare financial statements in accordance with nationally and internationally accepted financial reporting standards for organizations and groups of organizations. Perform simple and complex audits, apply essential finance concept, prepare tax returns and advise on tax matters in compliance with regulation and standards. Right? So although we did specify there specifically, of course when we talk about standards, we also refer to Islamic standards. So in accounting, we have AOIF, a body that sets all issues, accounting and auditing standards for Islamic financial institutions. Okay. Next is social skills and responsibilities. Provide services to the community based on learned knowledge and cooperate with different stakeholders for the benefit of the society. Okay. Then for value, attitudes and professionalism, behave in accordance with professional ethics and Islamic values. For communication skills, communicate effectively with various stakeholders, whether verbally or in written form. Okay. Problem solving and scientific skills, process and evaluate financial data and non-financial information, as well as suggest solutions to accounting issues, taking into consideration professional ethics and Islamic values. Information management and lifelong learning skills, use, evaluate, and manage information technologies and systems for the efficient attainment of organization objectives, and demonstrate an ability to learn continuously and develop professionally in tandem with the changes in the business world. Right? Managerial and entrepreneurial skills, analyze financial and non-financial information to make optimal managerial decisions which are ethical at the operational, tactical, and strategic levels. Leadership and team skills, work collaboratively in a management team as well as demonstrate leadership qualities. Alright, so, okay, so you can, as I mentioned, refer to this as well as improve on it, inshallah. actually, I have provided some time to do some discussion and teamwork, but it's up to you. You can always take this back, right? So you can take back the homework, basically, all right? So you may want to think of discussing in your teams to draft this program objectives, all right, or refine already developed program objectives, and from there, of course, draw up the program learning outcomes in accordance with these 9 areas. Okay? Okay? Would you like to think about it now, or should we just proceed and then you can always discuss later? Right? Okay. Now, when we look through the course outline and the course outlines that you prepared, basically I categorize them into a few subcategories. There is the general information related to the course, which I consider relatively easy to fill in, right? So you can see, for example, department, faculty, program, course code, your name and contact details. And of course, there are the details which are more difficult to fill in, where you can actually, you have got to think about it and choose the right words to properly describe the objectives of the course. Then, of course, there's the course content, right, which everyone is concerned about, because you can have a very nice looking course outline, but if the content is not comprehensive or sufficient enough, then you may have a problem later on. And of course, the reference materials. Okay, so as I showed you just now, basically we have a standardized template. Okay. Yes. Right. Yes. We have a standardized template that was distributed to all of us, and we just had to fill it in. Right?
This is also provided by the ministry?
This was provided, I think the details were provided to at our university level, and they disseminated to all faculties. Yes, and the faculties had to distribute it to the lecturers. Right, so we just had to basically fill in these details.
Could you please explain one of the part of it? Could you please go to...
Yes, actually I'm going through it one by one. Is that okay? So I'll show it larger, right? And I will go through it one by one. So for example, the general information, I've already categorized it. So you can see these are relatively easy. Is there anything here that you would like to clarify? For example, the term status seems quite vague, but they're just asking for core or elective course. Right? And of course, level refers to the year of study. All right? Okay. Right? Sorry? Yeah?
Semester year offered and level that is refers.
All right. The semester and year offered is when it actually starts. This program actually starts. Right? And the level is, if it's offered to third-year students, then you just put 3 there. Right? Okay, yes.
In Bangladesh, actually, it's a practice that if a course code starts with 3, that is a third-year course, or
That's
expected audience is third-year level. So if that is the practice here, if that is the practice, then is the level
Redundant, yes. Thank you. Yes, a very good point. Our course codes have similar connotation, or if it's year 3 course, we will start with 3.
No, it is there in Bangladesh.
It's like that.
Maybe not in his university, but it is available in Dhaka University, Buet, leading university. There is this sort of.
Right. Okay. In our university, yes, it is similar, but since we follow the American system as well, some of our advanced students, they may be in year 2, but they are allowed to take year 3 courses. So it indicates which course to take possibly next, but it is not necessary that they are in that level. So we just indicate anyway, right? But you can see that in our classes, it's not necessary they are always year 3 students. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah,
but
yes.
alright. Okay.
Yeah, just only one.
Yes.
In fact, what you mentioned about the course code, not only the level, yeah, I think it is a lot of indications. For example, what we do in our university, say SEC 1101. In that case, SEC stands for accounting. The first one, it indicates first year. Second one, it indicates first semester. Then 01, it indicates this is the first course.
Right.
So similarly, if you find SEC 3502, that means this course is being offered in the third year, and the level or semester is 5, and the course number is 2. It indicates that this student has completed one accounting course before.
Right. It's brilliant. Coding mechanism.
So do you do this like this way? What you mentioned?
Similar.
Okay.
But I find that some programs are more systematic, like UOP, and other programs are less systematic. Right? So the university wasn't that they weren't that strict on this, and neither was the ministry, basically. So
Can
I think
I just add to that? Actually, I remember this because in the late 80s, in economics school, I remember we did this coding and we had this detail. The first one is for the semester year, the second one is for the area within economics. So if it is a 7, it is for this international economics. If it was 5, it is development economics. And then only. There was a very detailed thing. But somewhere along the line, people stopped following strictly certain things. We had the 4, it's a 4th year. We had the area maybe 7. Then the remaining 2 became problematic. So we kind of dropped it. Although we still keep the 4 as the first and the second number will denote the level and the area within economics. So that's important for us. The remaining 2, I think the last figure was supposed to be credit hour. Because we used to have courses with 4 credit hours. We used to have courses with 3, which is the standard, and we used to have courses with 2. So the last number would be the number of credit hours. But this is kind of
But in many cases, the credit hour is 3A.
Now it's standardized to 3. Very rarely you find anything with 2 or even 4. But we used to have it last time. In some faculties, law faculty, I think they still have 4. Some courses they want 4 hours.
4
So they
hours.
keep it as 4.
So is there any American accounting or American system for coding?
I think possibly there is, but we didn't really follow in our program. As the programs change, they may have something at the beginning, but as the programs change, we change.
So would you please explain the coding what you given here, for example, EDC 6701 or like that. What does it mean? Same or what I mentioned?
Okay. So I think level 6 would be a master's course.
Okay.
Right, a master's course. So I know from 6 is a master's course.
But why this is 6? Because if this is 4th year, it should be 5. Because bachelor program, it takes 4 years.
This is not a bachelor course, this is a master's course.
So master should be for 5 years.
Yes.
5 is postgraduate diploma.
Oh.
6 is master's.
Okay.
So, yes, so I wasn't involved in the coding, but yes, when I see things, I know the master's course. But other than that,
So what you have said, actually speaking, the practice of assigning code number differs from university to university. In some university, only 3 figures will be given. Suppose ACT counting 301. That is, this is course is for third year students, and first is this is the first course, because in some semester we may offer 4 courses, 5 courses. So this brief is better than
We can move ahead.
Yes, right, yes. Okay, so yes, it's not so strict, I think there's some flexibility. Right, yes, that's right. So flexibility. Alright, so and then of course we have clearly indicated the credit value is 3 credit hours, and all our faculty courses are 3 credit hour courses. Right, so I think this is where we need further discussion, which is, the first one is the rationale for including that course in that program. So you actually have to justify, for example, why should I insist on having auditing in the program? So we have to justify in the course outline, right? And there is something called the student learning time. That's slightly complicated, so we will discuss this later. And of course, prerequisites and co-requisite courses are quite straightforward. And we will go through each of these, the ones with the stars, in a little more detail. So first, course objectives, then learning outcomes, then transferable skills, then teaching and learning or assessment strategy, course synopsis, and mode of delivery and course assessment is, I think, relatively straightforward. Okay, so basically the course synopsis and course objectives.
What is transferable skill?
So basically the skills that can be transferred, as Prof. Nicole was mentioning. Maybe we would expect our students to have communication skills, analytical skills, right? Even possibly presentation skills, right? So that those will, you will see later, we'll have to define it in our course outline. Okay?
Well, you have
Yes.
mentioned in your course outline what you have shown here as
Yes.
example. Like for transferable skills, there may be small groups among the students, they can go out inside the classrooms and they can share the views about.
Right. That's right.
You have mentioned.
Yes, yes, thank you, yes. Right? So, course synopsis, I think we are...
Yeah, Prof, in your
Yes.
previous slide, you have shown one is assessment strategy, another one is what you have mentioned here, the assessment process or something.
Alright.
Quite true, I think this is.
Yes, well, they put it as one category and we'll see that in a while. Is that okay? So for course synopsis, of course we all know the course synopsis, a brief description and overview of the course. I think we can provide a synopsis of our course. And of course linking to the overview of the course are course objectives, where we will try and clearly state the objectives or aims of the course so that our students know after going through the course what should they achieve, basically. Alright? So at this point, you will see that the words used in developing the course objectives, it can be quite general. It doesn't have to specifically be accessible. Right? And I put this point forward because later on, when we look at course learning outcomes, it is important that when we develop this, we have to make sure that the words that we use in developing these learning outcomes for the course should be accessible. That means you will have to link each of the learning outcomes to an assessment method. And I think some of you have already done that when you prepared the course outlines. Okay? So basically, just to stress on this, because this is important, we know that each of our course has its own learning outcomes, right? So, but when we frame these learning outcomes, we should try and use some words that can be linked to specific assessment methods. So an example that I've put, because it happens to be my favorite way of actually framing a learning outcome is students should appreciate something, right? So, but the criticism is always, all right, how do we test this? Whether they appreciate this subject or this material, or they don't, right? They have no appreciation, but they are able to actually explain or describe or differentiate or distinguish, all right? So we will have to use those keywords in coming up with the learning outcomes, right? So here we come to the transferable skills. So they are, the emphasis given are the soft skills, such as I mentioned before, communication skills, analytical skills, presentation skills, and whatever skills that you think that you can develop in your own course. Right? Of course, we will try to help our students develop as many skills as possible. But the only thing that I think the ministry kind of question us on is that are we starting too early level courses? So for example, we don't want to start having case study analysis perhaps, all right, and assess them at year 1 level. They may not be ready. So this is something that we have to consider. Right? So if we look at the table, or the course example of the course outline just now, you will see that this transferable skills, you can put it down in written form. Right? You can just write down what are the transferable skills, 1, 2, 3, or you can actually put it in a table form. Right? So, and they have given this flexibility to us. So if you notice in my course outline, for me it was just easy to explain. Easier to explain. Alright? Where else other people may choose or prefer putting it down in table form. Okay, so then we have this teaching, learning, or assessment strategy, right? And both are.
Is there an example?
Oh yes.
For example, skill, how are they developed, and assessment method.
Oh, I don't have
Naming
that.
a particular skill, how are they developed? Can there be an example?
Oh,
I have
can
example.
give it.
Communication skill.
Communication skills. All right, communication skills. Communication skills, I think maybe slightly difficult. So, but maybe I can give an example of, say, presentation skills. All right, presentation skills. So we can have presentation there, and then we can actually explain that that we have students presenting specific topics or specific materials or specific assignments. All right, and then we will just put the assessment method there as presentation.
Ma'am,
Okay.
I have example.
Okay. Oh, very good. Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. So here, sorry, I can. Is this yours?
Yeah, it's mine.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So here it is put quite briefly. So I'm just going to give some examples here. So for example, here they've put under skills teamwork, right? And briefly they've put here group formation, and then assessment method as group exercise, right? Or critical thinking, another example, again groups formation and group exercise. Okay? Right. Thank you. Thanks, Rose. Thanks. Right. Okay, so we were going to talk about the teaching, learning, or assessment strategy. Again, quite simple. You just have the type of assessment here, and then you just explain the assessment. Alright? And linking to that, okay, linking to that, as you can see here, we have the methods of assessment adding up to, totaling up to 100%, and it has to be referred to the learning outcome. So you have to specifically specify, say for example, midterm exam, which learning outcomes you're planning to evaluate there. Right? And I think you've done it. I think many of you have actually done it. Right? Okay. Alright. Now, we know that each of our courses have our own course outcomes, course learning outcomes, and we can develop that. Okay, course learning outcomes, but then we have to map it with the program learning outcomes. Okay, so basically, right? So you can see the empty table is like this, right? Where we have the program learning outcomes here from 1 to 9, starting from knowledge right down to what was it? Leadership skills. Right, thank you. Excellent. Leadership skills, and we put our course outlines here. Okay? Our course learning outcomes here. Right? So I will show you an example again from my course. I have 6 course learning outcomes here. So basically, I just copy and paste, 8. Yeah, continue here, sorry. 8 learning outcomes, course learning outcomes here.
Why
so,
not 9?
Why 9?
Why not 9?
Oh, why not 9? Oh, that's a good point. Okay. The ideal explanation would be that I feel that these 8 covers my the objectives of my course, right? There is a practical reason for that as well. I think I should share with you because we are sharing. It is not such a good idea to have too many, right? Because after that, you know that you have to make sure you have to assess all of them. So you have to learn. You have to be able to assess each of the learning outcomes. All right. So you do not want to have too long a list. Plus, the other issue is this. You have to map them. Right? So you have to map them. It's okay if you're just doing it for one course outline to map all this. All right, but let's say if you're teaching 2 or 3 or 4 courses, if you have too many outcomes here, can you imagine the effort you have to put in to map each of this against the program learning outcomes? Right, so each of the course learning outcomes are here, and you map it against the program learning outcomes.
Okay, now who will make this evaluation?
The instructor. Right, the instructor. We ourselves will map it. Right, of course. Then after we will consult with our team. Right, so if we are
as an instructor, I will make this plan. So it's a kind of self-evaluation.
That's right. Within your team. Of course, after on, it may be evaluated by people from the ministry, right? The experts as well. Okay. All right. So,
is it that you do for this for one by one or for whole student at a time?
Oh no, this one is just the plan in your course outline, right? It's just a plan, and the student should know that these are the outcomes that the plan to evaluate. Yes, overall cost. Okay, to assess the overall cost. All right. there's another issue, right, that I have to inform you about. Generally, sometimes we really put in the effort, and we feel that all the outcomes are attained, basically. Through our learning outcomes, we attain all the program outcomes. Right? Again, I think the issue arises because it is a self-evaluation. Right? So sometimes we can be overly enthusiastic about ticking, right, the program outcomes. And what we found is the ministry will always question that. Right? So the evaluators later on will question that for an undergraduate course, are we sure that we're meeting so many program outcomes? Okay, so so basically what they say is, as an undergraduate course, we should be meeting maybe only about 2 or 3 of the program outcomes. So okay, each of our undergraduate course will only meet about 2 or 3, right? Especially at a lower level. At a higher level, maybe you can meet about or achieve about 4 or 5. Okay,
Okay, Prof, I have one question. This is, we are doing this at the planning process. Finally, distributing this course outline to the students. But I have a question that you are considering in the rigorously. So is there any impact assessment whether the students have obtained this or not really? Because this is just on a ticking.
right.
Whether really the students have obtained these goals or not. What do you think about this one?
Okay, I think that's a very valid question, and we always question that as well. So yes, it is. It's very right. Everything can look nice on paper, and especially when we're doing self-evaluation. Of course, as I mentioned before, there may be at regular periods external assessors to come in and assess our program. But that is the main question, right? This looks good on paper. Is it really achieved in practice? Right? And I think we still haven't really answered that question. And so that's why I think Prof. Rafiqul raised a very good issue. We only measure that through employability, I think, and our students or graduates' performance based on undergraduates' performance based on. Okay, so as I just mentioned, undergraduate courses are not expected to have too many ticks, right, in each of their courses, right? Especially lower level courses would logically have fewer, right? Meet the fewer programming learning outcomes compared to higher level courses. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go to a little heavier topic. So I'm not sure, I'm going to ask the organizers, should we break for
before we break, why not we get some questions on other things?
Right,
Q&A.
Second half we can
Okay, yes. Yes.
Well, if I am honest to you, and I should be, I think I personally do not put so much effort preparing the lecture note. You do a really excellent one under the leadership of your ministry. Just one question: that if a person, if a student, misses an exam, what grade do you give it?
We have a standard policy actually. So if they have missed an exam for valid reasons like MC and so on.
You ask for a makeup, and if he misses for makeup too.
Oh, he misses the makeup as well?
Too.
For valid reason?
Well, he has missed the regular exam for a valid reason, then you arrange a makeup and he missed the makeup for another valid
Alright,
reason.
so for final exams, I think there is a standard policy where we do allow the special exams, I think, to be postponed, I think up to 3 times. Am I right? Yeah.
So,
The special exam, final exam.
So if I miss an exam, then I will get three chances.
First chance, second chance, I think third chance if you miss it.
That's for missing, not for failing.
Yes, for missing. For missing, but they have to have valid reason. So a letter from the doctor, they're really sick and so on. So it could be possible.
These dates are fixed by the individual instructor or the ministry or university?
Oh no, our universities have fixed dates for special exam periods.
Exactly.
Final
I
exam
think
period and
these
special exam.
issues are not relevant to our main.
Okay, I think this is. Yes. Yes. Thank
but
you.
course outline should have a plan for this type of cases.
No.
I think, yeah, you raise a valid point, and I think both of you raise a valid point.
All university having such role.
University has a rule.
Yes.
The
Yes.
university role.
So I'm not sure about your institution. So, but the thing is, our university is, because through experience, yes, we have to be very clear about this. Right? Yeah. So that's why we don't have to state it in our course outline. Right? We do not state it in our course outline because the students know, they are given a booklet, they know all our rules and regulations. They should know all our rules and regulations. Yes. Students have.
Can we prepare 3 different questions for them?
If the same student misses and there are no other students, we can keep the set of question papers. Yes. Unfortunately, yes.
Can I just make a short intervention? See, I want to connect the session today with what has been discussed yesterday by Professor Kamal, and maybe Professor Kamal may add something there. If you remember in the presentation on Islamization, there was something on the Islamization of the self. Now, when I try to understand Islamization of the self and apply it to our roles as teachers, and I'm not looking at the content of our teaching, etc. I'm just looking of the duties of a teacher. And I would consider that if you do the duties of a teacher well, this is Islamization.
Yes.
Okay? And just as what Dr. Fatima said, when we received all these instructions from the faculty, the university, that we have to do this and this and this, of course at first thought we said this is not relevant to my job as a teacher. But when I spoke to some administrators, they gave me some information which was actually to me quite shocking. I'll give you one example, and maybe you have this experience is not there in Bangladesh yet. 3 or 4 years ago, at the beginning of the semester, all of us were given a file for the course, and I was asking them, what is this file for? Yeah. It was a paper file, cardboard file. Every lecturer was given this file in the beginning. And when I asked what it's for, they said it's for your class notes and for your class outline, course outline. It's for your attendance sheet. It's for your grading of your students. And so I said, why are you giving this to me? Because at least in my case, I have this. Yeah, I had the file, but to my surprise, we were told that there are many lecturers who don't have this collection of the notes that they are giving in class. They don't even have the class list. They don't take attendance. Yeah. If attendance is necessary, sometimes it's not. They don't keep a record of the grade of the midterm. Yeah. So on that score, and the numbers were quite large. It's not just 1 or 2 people, quite a huge number. Okay? So they're giving the file to you and telling you, keep this. At the end of the semester, we're supposed to submit this file in to the department office, and when the audit comes, randomly they will take a file and see whether or not those things are there. Okay? Now I look at it initially as something that was a waste of time, but then I realized that many of us were not doing it. So if we connect it to this idea of Islamization, especially of the self, I mean, to be a good teacher, we talk about us being murabbi, it has to include surely keeping notes of your class lecture, keeping record of how many marks you gave him for quiz 1, quiz 2, quiz 3. I mean, if you don't have this, how do you perform your job as a teacher? So,
by the way,
yes.
one question. How many quizzes usually you take during a semester? Just to share.
I don't know, I mean, it depends on the course. I mean, I don't give quizzes in my class. I just have midterm, I have assignment 1 and 2, and maybe the final. But I know, when I look in the front of some of my colleagues, in front of their door, they will have quiz 1, quiz 2, quiz 3, quiz 4. And I do not know how they do it, but they do it.
How much maximum? Quiz 6?
I'm not sure. I think there is no...
May I just, I think generally the lower level courses will have more quizzes. So, but I think maximum about four courses, so that to help the students basically practice and so on.
I think the quizzes are more necessary in courses which practice is required. The quantitative courses. So people give a lot of these mini quiz so that it covers topic 1 and 2, they give 1 quiz. Topic 3 and 4, 1 quiz. So that the students are not leaving it till the end of the term or to the midterm and then they start studying. So I just wanted to raise this point that, ourselves, really, we have to look at ourselves and say, are we doing what is necessary in that process of teaching and conveying knowledge to the students? And to my surprise, quite a number of our colleagues were not organized, were not keeping this. And I think this is something that we have to keep in mind. I may disagree with the detail of what you need to do, and as I said, many of us still don't understand quite a bit of these requirements. But I think when you talk about meeting standards and to create the quality of instruction, these points are important. You may ask, why doesn't maybe Harvard or Cambridge or Oxford, why they don't have this? Well, probably because they are already at that level. They have got the students that are already excellent, and so whether the teacher does anything in class, also the students are already brilliant. And sometimes this is the virtuous cycle of good universities. They get good students, the next year you don't have to do much teaching. You can just leave the students to do their own duty. I don't know, Prof. Kamal, would you like to add anything on this dimension about the Islamization of self in this regard? I don't know whether it is connected to what you were saying yesterday.
Maybe I can, maybe tomorrow, inshallah, yeah. It's just that, I was thinking that this kind of requirements may be necessary, as you said, some good universities. I doubt if British universities are using this. I have a strong feeling that this is an American importation, which of course some American universities are not doing it. I was at Columbia, and I was teaching also at Columbia, I was teaching at Georgetown, and we never had all these things. But we did our job. So, but this is good for some levels of universities. But to go into details, and because sometimes what happens in our own exercise, we went through all this. It's just to please the ministry. So we fill in all those forms and make all the quantitative things, but after that we just forget about it. So I think at the end of the day, here is the Islamization of the self, your conscience. Are you doing your job as a teacher, irrespective of whether you have all these requirements or not? I think this is in line with what you're saying, that Islamization of the self involves also the ethics of the teacher, which is the amana. And this is amana of the teacher. Of course, in my presentation yesterday on Islamization of the self, I was looking into the relationship of the teacher with God. But you are emphasizing the work ethics, which is part of Islamization of the self. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Prof. You know, I want to also connect this to another discussion we are going to have tomorrow. And this is the role of the market and the state.
Yeah.
This is really exactly this. Ideally, all of us, if we understand the amanah that Prof. Kamal was talking, we wouldn't have to necessarily have all these details.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay? And what is being done is because maybe they cannot leave it to the individual. And therefore, the state is bringing in certain requirements that everybody needs to follow. So in this case, in order to keep us and to remind us, the only problem is you can get sidetracked with all these details and you forget the quality and the essence of what you are doing. Yeah, but sometimes needed because we are maybe not doing that dimensionally. Sorry, Dr. Fatima, I seem to be intruding on your session.
Another question?
Maybe him first because I saw his hand.
Okay, in fact, I'm honored to see one case. Sometimes when the faculty members try to satisfy the ministers or Ministry of Education, and just there is a credibility gap. What we are saying, we are not doing. Should we satisfy our minister or we should satisfy our God? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is in fact from Islamization perspective. I think that a good teacher, or a morally sound teacher, will never satisfy or do anything in his paper which actually you will not do. In assessment process or the planning process, I am satisfying the ministers that yes, you see how rigorous I am, but actually I am not doing all the things. So this is in fact, whenever we think about Islamization of our students, I think Islamization, it should come from the teacher as well as some issues, but we should convey this to the ministers, Ministry of Education.
Sir, I should put the question to the Prof. Fatima, that is, this course outline that you have shown us, if the same course is undertaken by many teachers, in that case all the things remain the same? It should be unique?
Thank you.
The course outline?
Yes. Sorry, thank you.
And I have another question related to this after this.
Yes. I think basically the course outline will be developed by the instructors together. So everything will be the same, except that the cell for instructors, you have all the instructors' name and the contact details.
And after that, when you have the same kind of question, that means the instructor, you 4 instructors having the same course, all 4 make the same question or different?
I think you have a very valid point there. For accounting, we standardize. In accounting, we have to standardize whether it's quiz, midterm, or definitely final exam. Yes, definitely final exam, but quiz, midterms, even assignments, they're all standardized to be fair to all the students in the different classes. Plus, for us, here in Malaysia, I think it will be similar in Bangladesh, we have to meet the requirements of our Malaysian Institute of Accountants. So that's why we need this standardization.
Okay, no,
Yes.
standardization means, is it unique? Exactly same?
For that semester,
For example, fall midterm for accounting, basic accounting course. Is it the same question is
for all the students taking the basic accounting course?
Same question.
Same question.
4 teachers, how many number of
Yes.
students?
So that's why we always have to have a common midterm.
Okay.
So if we have 200 students, all 200 students will have to take this common midterm at the same time.
Then for makeup exam, how can you manage this?
Makeup exam, we have to have a special set of questions for the makeup.
Ma'am, I think all these are technicalities.
Okay.
Move with the
You want to? I think for now we can have a break. So maybe just a few questions to share our experience and so on. Yes.
Oh, you have a question to me or to Dr. Fatima? To me?
Okay, to Professor. Okay.
Just I'd like to add one information with the asking of my son. So ask them to whom he will satisfy, to God or to the ministry. So I think that we should satisfy all the stakeholders, but first stakeholder is the God, then our customer, our total community. So they are all stakeholders. And normally as a student of management, we know that there are two methods of control. One is the bureaucratic method and there is clan control. That is developing the values, moralities, ethics. This is spontaneous. But bureaucratic approach here, rules, regulations and instructions are developed. So I think that both the methods are parallelly applied. First of all, we try to develop the ethics, values, moralities in a student. Then definitely at the same time, we also apply structure, develop rules and regulation framework. So I think that your framework is quite okay, I think. So in that case,
it may not be something that this is going to be adopted in all countries. You have your own. Your stakeholder comment, I think, interesting. We discussed this once, and somebody said, we will not put Allah as a stakeholder. Allah is beyond the stakeholder. Everybody else can be stakeholder. Allah is above the stakeholder.
So we need to Islamize the stakeholder language.
Yeah, okay, sure. But there will be a different way of explaining maybe that stakeholder.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to go back also to this question from Fatima. Different courses have different way. We have team teaching. For example, in Foundations of Islamic Economics, Principles of Macro, there will be 4 or 5 people teaching the same course. And what we do, at least in economics courses, we give the option to the individual lecturer. The assignment may be different according to the lecturer's own assignment question, and the only requirement we say the assignment is worth 20%. Even midterms in FIE, we leave it to the lecturer. The midterm is about 30%. We leave it to the individual lecturers to conduct their midterm, but the grade is 30% of the total. The final is the same for all students. So, it's a bit flexible. Maybe in accounting they need to have a little bit more, the same, but at least in economics, as far as I know, we don't insist on midterms being the same for everybody. We leave it to the lecturer. And even assignment, we leave it to the lecturer. Only the final is common and must be the same paper for everybody. To Dr. Fatima, is it?
Okay, both of you. One thing is about the evaluation. I have one question. One is related to pedagogy. That is the, now you see that is one is case study. Whether we should go for the undergraduate students or the master's students, or how far you consider it IIUM. Second question is about in our country, especially in the public universities, examiner system. Double. So whether you see this in your country or in the American context, you find double examiner system.
So clarification, all exams, all course exams will be examined by 2 people.
Only final.
But all the scripts.
All the scripts.
So I have to mark my own script plus somebody else's script also.
Yes.
Sorry, can I just answer this question first before I go? Sorry. You were talking about the case studies. Yes, in our undergraduate programs, we do have case studies, but the assessment is more for higher level courses, year 3, year 4 courses. So that's why the lecturers always request for smaller classes to conduct case studies effectively, but unfortunately, until now, we cannot accommodate them. Case studies for marking, in our university, not yet. We don't have another exam looking through, unless there is the student request for rechecking. If they want to recheck the final exam papers, then we have 2 assignments. Yes, examiners. Separate examiners.
Other than the first one.
Other than the first one.
Okay.
Our brother, I want to ask him, whether in the same batch, in the same year, how many sections usually need to have? One section, two sections, and as he asked, if there are more than one section, then at that time of final exam, what about the question? Is it unique or it depends on the section?
Yes. Thank you again. For generally lower level courses, and more students have to take them, we have many sections. Sometimes it can go up to maybe 9, 15, 15 sections.
15, 20.
Yes, I think Prof. Rafiqul, you have an experience in decision science,
section
right?
cholo
15 sections.
15 sections.
মাফিয়া সেকশন 8টা ম্যানেজার অ্যাকাউন্টিং এর সেকশন 8টা প্রত্যেকটার মধ্যে 60 জন রয়েছে আমাদের ক্লাসের থেকে বড়
So you can imagine calculating between these.
Other countries, Malaysia mixed.
Yes, but we
Malaysia 60 থেকে 65%.
But
35%.
other courses, it can be one section.
Best Malaysia best স্টুডেন্টরা এখানে আসে
Take it all as courses.
বেস্ট
we have one section.
স্টুডেন্ট ওরা চান্স পায় না সব। যারা চান্স পায় তারা খুব ভালো
Right, but we try and coordinate at least.
ওদের এই ইউনিভার্সিটি আসার জন্য 2 বছর পড়া লাগে আলাদা
Is always standardized because the university will set the final exam.
IIT
Will
के
set the dates for the final exam.
You know?
Dates and time for the final exam. So all the students taking that course will have to have the same final exam. So basically, if you have that
আমাদের
same
এইটা
four vectors,
আমি তো আমার নিজে ছবি দেখি
in teaching a course, the easiest thing is for us to share the final exam. You prepare one question, I prepare one question, so we get 4 questions together and we set the final. Very simple. Yes.
Just also to mention, the reason why we can have up to 15 sections, because this is also taken by students from other faculties, where the economics kuliah is offering it as a course taken by students from engineering. So Professor Rafiqul's course, Decision Science, is taken by engineering students also. Right? So that's why we can come up to so many sections. Yes.
You are telling about following the system. Don't follow this, but for the rationale to follow such types of things. Actually, deviation is everywhere. But one system is required. Whatever system you develop, you will get so many people don't follow such systems. And that's the relate with the Islamization of myself, Islamization of Islamization, or Islamization of his instructor itself. What my brother Subhani mentioned about the public university double examination system, it's also required due to ethics. In so many cases, we find, yeah, so many teachers manipulated, given one student 80% mark, given another student only 20% mark. That's why
মাঝে মাঝে যে একটা নিলে
আমি এখান থেকে আমারটা নিচ্ছি আমার ডকুমেন্টের জন্য নিতে
আমার IIT থেকে একটা নিলে মাঝে মাঝে
now single exam is following. My brothers from all the private universities, they follow the
Ethics.
single exam. But they are also suffering from
Not only single, without examining.
Finally, I think one system should be required. And some people will get everywhere, they will perform the system. And some people everywhere will get, they don't follow the system. But to purify myself, to Islamize myself, and everywhere to remember my all work, that's the final. If so many systems we develop, but fail to purify myself, no system will be what. That's why whatever system and whatever the mechanism we develop, finally That things is
I think on that note, would you all agree we take a short, maybe your last comment.
I'd like to add something to the comments given by my student. The main problem lies with double examination system, which are followed in public universities, is delayed publication of results. Whenever we teach in public universities, the same person teach in private universities, the results of private universities must be published within 7 days at the end of the examination. But in public universities, there is room for publishing the result with 15 days, 1 month, but it takes even more than 1 year to publish the result. That's why
in private universities, there are examples of not publishing result even within 2 years.
There are examples, but there are exceptions. Every rule has exceptions.
Islamic people are doing this. Islamic people are doing
You
this.
cannot generalize.
So it is better of
You can go with the main thing is on ethical value. What is not have ethical value. If we don't follow the principles of Islamic ethics, then everywhere the system is bound to follow.
Thank you very much, bro. I think on that note,
and infused.
I really have to tell you, if you tell us this experience about 7 months, 1 year, 2 years, we just cannot even, it doesn't, we can't imagine. But on that note of the need for us to look at ourselves first, I think we take a break. Because ourselves include also maybe a break for the food. So we have a short break and we have by about 11 minutes. Thank you very much.